See? We're learning how to listen to music again, and not only listen, but be immersed. Let it move us as it was created to heal, to illuminate, to stir us, all the things.
Oh, okay. So yesterday I had the opportunity. It's been happening a lot. I don't know if this has been happening to you, but someone will just hug me and I'll forget that and someone will just hug me and they'll be like, whoa, like, can I hug you a little longer? You smell incredible.
Hell yeah, you do.
And then I'll have this opportunity to be like, well, you too can smell like this. But it's educational because it's not just the fragrance. It's like, I was like, and then I get to tell them this like whole concept of, do you remember back in the day when you were envisioning the future and you thought that TV or live stream, or even just TV, because we didn't even know the internet existed yet, would be like smell-o-vision or like taste-o-vision. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and so I was thinking about the future, and I was also thinking about how artists are making like 2 cents a song on Spotify and how absolutely unfair that is, and how my best friend is an artist and how much I want to like participate and as an herbalist participate in collaborating, which I think is the wave of the future. And I think that once we get a handle on the Aquarian medicine of like everyone's different and we get to accept each other instead of pit each other against it and have weird oppositions, but instead like get into cahoots. And I'm, you're Venus and Venus exalted, so like already I've been tracking how well you like are friends with people. And I've just wanted to like be a playmate in a whole other way, which is like to make something that would coalesce with your music so that people virtually or just anywhere could have it sensorially experienced. And then I was like, and I'm telling these women at Aurora's Nature School who are like into my smell that like, it's not only the scent that they can also have, but that it's coalesces with music and that they can listen to an experience. And then I walk them through listening to Phoenix and the inspiration of Phoenix and the muse of Phoenix, that is your art, that became a fragrance that starts off in multiple layers. Because what is a Phoenix if not a magnificent bird of mystery and power and healing, that transforms over a huge, tremendous amount of learning and time to like be born again. And that I've captured that into a fragrance. And so that you'll have like layers of experiencing that scent that like is evocative to your nature of burning off who you aren't anymore so you can be who you really are and how held you are through a multi-layer experience of listening to something that's going to transmute and stir you up on the outside or on the inside, like cerebrally and also emotionally felt, and then tangibly experience through the scent in your body the song. And it was really fun to like have their hats blown off because no one's thought of this, right. and like be hungry for more of what is possible. So I just like I like, for me, what I like to do is rub it onto my scalp.
Yes.
I rub it into my scalp and then I like let it pull down into my curls, or like I'll get my curls and I'll rub it into the edges of my curls.
Yeah.
And of course in my pits because it's a warm spot. And it just exudes this amazing fragrance that I've been luxuriating in.
So luxuriating. It's delicious. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I kind of get a little bit and then, I just go all over here and I kind of do a little of this, get it on the side, bubbies. And of course the nape, and I just kind of like get it all up in my little necky bits. And then see how she, breathes throughout the day. It's stellar. Absolutely amazing. And I also, doing that. And then I hadn't listened to the song in a while because I've just been working on the stuff and things. And then yesterday I had my PR meeting with my new publicist. What's up? We were talking about the songs and then I was like, oh shit, I really need to, I'm gonna put it on again. And so I put it on again and then did an active freshening with the roll-on while it was happening.
Yes.
Like wrists, because then I could kind of like sit right here and then this. And then I of course brought out my and I was like, oh dang. And my publicist was like, he's like getting it, right? He was like, oh my God, what? This is incredible. Wow. And I'm like, exactly. See? We're learning how to listen to music again, and not only listen, but be immersed. Let it move us as it was created to heal, to illuminate, to stir us, all the things. Mm-hmm. And we also kind of went down a little bit of the rabbit hole again, Spotify and pop culture and how, most modern music has been hijacked for the nefarious purposes, less than savory purposes of mostly it's sex and violence, sex and violence. It's like, that's kind of the tone.
And also just like mind nothingness of a rhythm that no one even knows what it's saying, but it's giving you this like repetitive hypnotic rhythm of like,
just like
nothingness.
Yeah. The nothingness. Never ending story.
It's like a zombie vibe. We're just like, I'm singing, and then people will catch it, or maybe they don't, and it's like, what are you singing?
Yeah,
what do you even know what you're singing? Yeah, sex and violence, because
it was right on the thing. Exactly. Bye. Fear. So immersing into this like deepened, actually taking a moment. We did this on Silver Wheel, and I love that this new EP is like the next iteration of the deepening of the Juicy Spiral. Because on Silver Wheel, I actually put on the back, people don't buy, we didn't have a physical thing other than CDs at that time, which we sold some, whatever. But when you go to the download, you get your little, what did I say? I think it was like tools for listening or like recipe for engagement, rules for engagement or something like that. And it was like, set some time. Turn off your phone, turn off the lights, maybe take a bath, light a candle, make sure that you're in an optimum position of receiving so that you're not as distracted by your beta mind and you're actually able to kind of get into some of the other brainwave states. And I love that scent has a direct correlation to changing brainwave.
The limbic system.
Yeah.
And changing memory or evoking memory.
Yes, totally evoking memory, which music totally does. I mean, Jeff Buckley is a great example for me because I first heard Jeff Buckley when I traveled to the UK when I was 20. And I had a little tete-a-tete, a little love affair with a musician there. And he turned me on to Jeff Buckley. So forever and ever, when I hear Jeff Buckley, who I desperately love, I am taken right back to that little town in England with the rain coming down and the cozy, like all the things in there. It's so powerful. And then when we weave them in tandem to these other ways, right? I'm curious also if you might want to speak to like, creating new memories, right? Or like the future memory, future nostalgia ability for us to recreate our lucid life using scent and music.
That's why it was so powerful to make scent while listening to your song, because I was following the intention that you were weaving, because the way you make music and art is you will be rocked by a life experience in the causal field of being born during interesting times on the planet now, and you'll be with it because you're like, as you said, you actually set those intentional times in your own personal life, which is why you're an invitation for that, just as your presence and being. And so you do that And I'm noticing people are losing touch with the physicality, the actual sensorial experience of what music can be and is in through the limbic system, or even just through bringing you somewhere, being a hypnotic tool. And so when I listened to Phoenix itself, I brought the frequency of Phoenix into the layers and frequency of what scent can be as. And so what I was tracking was the wordsmithing spell of dying to who you've been, to be born again. And that's what is weaved in through the scent itself as a sensorial experience, which is why it starts off intensely boozy and dark and like deep and like smoky and hot, because it's like the end of a cycle. You know the cycle is gonna end, and it needs to, because you're no longer who you were, and you've recognized the patterns. You're like, there's this cycle, there's this like repeat scenario happening, and everyone gets it. They're like, oh yeah, I know that, like that cycle, that repeat, that like loop thought, that loop think, but they don't know how to viscerally get out of it. They don't know how to like stop getting into the groove of the pattern, right? And your song is an invitation to recognizing that pattern and potentiating this amazing thing. Yes, we have destiny. We're born during this time, but the fate is the choice. We have a choice. And sure, we've been dancing with like binaries, although I think it's for valued logic. It's not just binary, good and bad, or making the choice or not making the choice, but that we can hold the dichotomy of things being shitty and awesome at the same time, because it's not like we forget the pattern, but we are consciously choosing to birth a new thing and be different. Like I call it driving your own bus and off-roading into another path in your life. Yeah. And so the scent is multi-layered. It starts off boozy, bottom of the barrel, dark, intense, and smoky. And those are all the top notes that then soften into what is it like to viscerally have a sensorial experience of burning, because the song is an invitation of burning off who you aren't. And then cracking your egg and birthing like and it's post-colonial bliss. It's like the scent of the animalistic desire to create anew. And then what's next is like the phoenix's down feathers of a soft, musky newness, like the potentiality of what can be in the place of what was. Yeah. And there's definitely essences or incense and magic. There's lots of essences too, but scents in there that are guiding through and cross the brain-blood barrier into potentiating that you not only can like have the self-awareness to know that that is necessary, but that what you are putting in place has a stronghold, has a place to actualize, besides like the hypnosis of your song taking you to the awareness and highlighting and illuminating the conscious brain, but that then it's a visceral sensorial experience of the scent landing that into what matters, your body, so that then you can exist as next. And it lingers for as long until you wash yourself. Like it's such a deep evocative scent. And it was designed to coalesce with the intention of why and how what you did with that song, because it's like it's a direct downloaded correlation.
Yeah, I love it. And then I love it too because like you can keep some of my favorite readings are readings that I go back to. Right? It's not just like a one-off. It's not like, oh, I read these cards and then I got this thing that I moved on. It's like there was a formula, there was a structure, there was a context that now I get to keep coming back to, which I think is part of the antidote to the amnesia, is that we keep revisiting it. And so with the scent, right? Like every time I use it as ritual, as the living divination, it's like, oh, I'm coming back to that intention, to that North Star, to that like that place where I remembered that I was becoming new, right? That I was choosing something different, which is so much. And of course, you can play a song over and over again, but when the two are combined, a whole new level starts sparking up.
Yeah, it's a visceral landmark.
Right. So good. I also like this idea of, again, like getting into the receiving mode. And certain music is, I think set up for certain things. Obviously, there's dance music, right? I put on Patsy Cline when I cook, because she gets me in this like chop and the veggies, it's like I get to hear her. I feel her heartbreak. It's still got kind of a beat to it. It's the end of the day. I don't really want to be standing on my feet cooking, but I'm like, she's lifting me up into like the next experience. She helps me she helps create a bridge for me from my like, I'm going to like chop some veggies right now to like, I'm chopping veggies. It's cool. So I feel like music is so deeply personal, but there's also kinds of music that sort of are well suited for a specific experience or for specific something. And I'm curious about, getting into what I think is pretty rare in our culture right now, which is music that isn't, like we were saying, it's not singing bowls, right? Which is beautiful, healing, ambient, resonant, shanana. It's not singing bowls, but it's also not like dance music either. I think what's really curious as I'm working with my new team, my PR guy, is like, we're really starting to actually hone in on like, what is this music for? Who are the people? Like how do you want to, how is this best listened to, absorbed, and played with? And so we have crossed, of course, you and I over the years, we've played with all these different areas of like, is it like you're taking a bath and you're lighting candles? Is it a dinner party? Is it a theater? Is it what is it, right?
Act with silks.
Yeah, right. And that's one version. I love it. But there is a common denominator with the music that comes through me, which is you want to be supple, you want to be receiving. And in our world, I find that it's very challenging to ask people to get into the receptive mode. And which brings me to which brings me to prayer. Will you speak about the receptive mode and what it is to create a space viscerally with our embodiment and with the magic you created that will help us to actually let go and to receive?
Oh, we're rolling into prayer. Okay, so just to back up a little bit, my experience of your music is that it's anecdotal, and it's evocative of many, many different layers of how we can transcend or transmute or be brought to our aware selves to create a moment of holiness. And I what I mean, not in like the sacred exactly, although it can be, is just like the splintering of intense moments in our lives and how that can shatter us. But your music isn't so much about that. It's more about like bringing yourself into a cohesive,
whole, like WHOL.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah,
and how important that is to like to bring forth in the awareness of what kind of music that you presence through yourself. And I think it's probably because we're so rocked by being splintered and rolling into the habit of coping through society right now, and that we're not numb to it, or we are, and the artists, which is why I really favor us and working with us and them, is are like deep feelers who are like antennas to the causal field, and you are by far one of them. No wonder we call you Oracle 88. and but what you do is you will experience a shattering, and you will be utterly shattered because you're a human being on the planet doing the karmic dance of the samsara healing through the waters of your body. And then what you'll do is like sit and be in the nothingness, being in the shatteredness, be and exist in it. You don't hurry the process. You like look at what has happened to you, take inventory, and then you create music and a song to invite people into the remedy. So I find your music to be quite anecdotal and an invitation to like your process of experiencing the shattering of the intensity of what is happening or has happened, because a lot is happening in many different directions, and then how to like to gather yourself back up, all the different archetypes of yourself to be responsible to the moment. And I found that really came through, and I really like when you make ritualistic music, because it's that Oracle 88 aspect of your personality in the art that you make really shines through in it, because all of your music is quite hypnotic, and you'll like take people through an arc of like what was the flavor, what was the sand in the oyster shell. You're like, ooh, let's give you a little grit. And you take someone on the ride, you're like, here's the rub. This is where the rub is. You feel it? Like, get raw with me. It's always an invitation. Get raw with me. You feel it's intense. That's why you have turkey vulture medicine. You're like, no, I'm like, let's look at the decay, because what is rotting will become the food of what's next. It is now the fertilizer. It is now the compost, and we're going to grow something out of it. We can't just be in it's shitty. Like, it's tired. We're tired. It's shitty. It's shitty. We're really tired. We're tired. We're tired of looking at how shitty it is and then crashing into the wall and being surprised by that pattern. And now it's like, okay, it's the rub and it's the sand in the shell. And then when you take us on this like experience of how to pearlize and how to take that rub, that sand, that grit, and create a moment. When I was listening to prayer, I was like, okay, like how can I invite the body to be receptive? And I was like, oh man, gosh, everyone's chronically stressed, at least here where I am in our country, the US, like and everywhere. And like people are like really gripping on their self-worth is based off of material evidence. And there's a gripping and intensity, the grind in another way. Besides it's the grinding it down, but in a whole other way of like burning yourself out and working so hard. And what does that do to the body? It makes people fucking tense, like tight. They're holding back, they're holding up, they're holding in, they're holding out. And so they're all just like tight and tense and like grumpy and like out of body, because who wants to be in a body that's tight, tense, and grumpy? Nobody. So they're just like zooming out, like, and then when you zoom out, when any of us zooms out, who comes in? Oh, it's the feedback loop. It's the music that's hidden. It's the unts music that is selling you what? Sex and violence.
Yeah.
Right? Keep you scared. Keep you in the wanton need of not enough. Keep you in those places because you're empty, because it's tight and tense in there. Like, why hang out? And I was like, wow, so prayer is an invitation to embody. And I was like, okay, I wanna help this song land. And so what do I gotta do? I gotta relax people's bodies. And as a practitioner for nearly 2 decades, I was like, gosh, I know exactly where people hold their attention. First, for me, for most of us, is like the base of the skull and the shoulders. We're holding it. We're holding the world up. We're like, oh, I got it done. We're even pushing our heads out. What are we going to go? I'm going to push it forward. I'm get shit done. I'm all in my head. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the strategy and the things. Yeah. And I'm just like inviting people to like relax it down. Just you don't have to hold it. Like, and skull cap helps just like relax the tension of the base, and it's American skull cap, latifolia. And it's like to invite that base of the skull and the shoulders down. Just drop it away. Right? Just drop it away. And then the descent down into the chest, of course, Rose, 250 megahertz. She just really rocks us back to the center of ourselves so that we can be more inside of our heart-centered, heart-focused, heart-led choices. So she
I'm
just
like, I gotta take some right now.
please. So she just
I'm like, oh God, my shoulders.
yeah, you're like, oh shit, I am tense.
No,
It's kind of like when and so then it's like a descent down into like relaxing your shoulders, and then you have, you know, the back of your wings and the front of your chest, and it's like to bring your shoulders, roll them back, and to let your chest reign free, right? Like be heart led. So Rose is in there, and then also Motherwort. Motherwort helps with like the anxiety of the heart palpitations that occurs, and she's also another really powerful nervine, but she's bitterer. And so she's going to drop it down a little bit more. She's going to soothe that like overly need to protect ourselves and recognize that, hey, you are really in charge of yourself, not the hypnosis of like the societal causal fields of all of the shenanigans out there. You actually can mother yourself. Why don't you take charge and self-nurture? And so she's just there. She's there to like help just like put her hand on your chest. It's like that comfortable like feeling that you want mothers to do, just you can do it to yourself, and just like put it down so that you can just feel the weight of being in your body and that it's a safe place. You know, and you're listening to this prayer song, put it on repeat, like really, like that's what I did when I was making this medicine. I was just like repeat. I was like, what is the message here? How can I make a tangible coalescer like harmonize with the felt sensation of what is being invited here? Like, how can I become more inside myself in a safe place? And of course, self-nurturance is an important next step to being inside your body. But it doesn't go there, right? We got a whole other half of the body. And I was like, okay, like, I love Damiana quite a lot. And I love that not only is it bitter, but she's quite floral. So she kind of flutters up because she's got a really wonderful floral scent. She flutters up, but that she also like drops down, and she just like helps hold your hips down. And so she just like holds, or they hold your hips down. They just like sit in yourself. Like just get in down deep. Let's like sit in your root chakra, like let's end. And her nature is relational, so she accesses and touches on that second chakra. The third, she slides down the third, and then she accesses that second chakra, and then she just pushes it down, and she just like holds your hips so that you can be sitting in having a relationship with yourself and relaxing into the root of yourself and in your sits bone. And then she just helps, and then that tension of like holding back and holding up and holding in, and like, and then holding the memory of relationships gone sour. Like she just like relaxes you into like first relationship, yourself. You and yourself. Be with yourself. Relax the hips. And then, you know, and then I thought, well, let's go deeper. Let's add a little heavy hitter there. And I put in Kava. And Kava takes that third chakra and it pushes it down farther, and then descends down to that second chakra, just supporting what Damiana has done. And then it brings that root chakra down the legs, down the feet, and it really relaxes the body. And there's a little secret spell inside, right? Your whole spine is now relaxed. You become the hollow bone in which to receive your recirculation power of connecting to the divine through your crown. And so it's an invitation for the coiled energy of the Kundalini to rise up and become the living prayer through your body. And it is not to feed you a prayer, but to invite your own inherent purpose prayer through you, which is what your music, your song is about. It's not telling you what to pray to. It's not even telling you how to pray. It's just saying, hey, like, let's take this moment. Hey, let's be together. Let's create this moment. What if more of us just did this and became the hollow bone and existed as our lives as a living prayer? And so that's what that potion invites.
Make me into an instrument of your love. So amazing. Oh, I can't wait to find, I'm gonna like find some like stock footage, chakra footage, and I'm gonna like overlay it while you're doing this part. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, because we all have our own, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's just the invitation to be present. It's the invitation to be quiet enough to hear your own guidance, because that's where all the true is. You know, there's nothing that is without is within, right? So it's the mirror. And often, again, going back to this, allowing a musical experience to create some stillness or some spaciousness, if you will, in your everyday, my life, doing my things experience, so that you can, so that there's something richer, something deeper, something that helps find, because people are so lost. A lot of people are really lost. And I think the paradox, or the, you know, the inner secret or whatever, is that they have their guidance within. It's just that we've sort of like baffled, right? We've muffled and numbed out our own capacity to just hear ourselves.
It's been outsourced.
Yeah.
It's been conditioned to be outsourced so that we're soldable to. It's not right, but like, so consumers. Yeah. Soldable, whatever.
Yeah. Solderable, whatever that is. Yeah.
Consumers.
Yeah. Yes. Consume.
Yeah, I think of music as the potential, like true music is the potential to dance. Like for your music is a cultivated dance with the muse. And a muse isn't telling you what to do. She's inviting your ear to be open so that you can hear what you want to do, what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And that's like what you've been offering, and now that there's just like tools to play with and engage with what you've been offering. And so like all of your music is like this. So I invite everyone to listen to all of it.
Yeah, let's all get in there. It's so good. It's time to listen to music again. And what we're so excited, I mean, what part of the thing I'm so excited about right now, which is what I'm working on, like just like all the fucking time, is just how to make the invitation. That just seems to be always that's like my pathway. Just be an invitation. I learned that early on, and I was like, oh, everyone wants to be invited to a party, but nobody wants to be taken on a guilt trip. So, you know, the marketing that's like, are you sick? Is this the cause of the thing? You've got to fear, you've got to buy, you've got to hurry up, you know, one chance only, like limited time, you know, this fear thing, this like time bound thing where it's like, I never respond to that. And so I think also there's in our Western culture, what I notice in the, you know, community that I live in, and just when I look around into the world, you know, we already are carrying so much guilt, so much unprocessed guilt, so much unprocessed shame, so much of this feeling of like, I don't know what to do. Everything's crazy. Is it my fault? What do I do? How do I do this? How do I be happy? How do I live my, right? It's like this it's fully loaded. And so adding more to that by saying, you know, you should be better, or you should be this, or you need to be this, is not relaxing. It's not the antidote. It's not the way to like really just dissolve these layers. And so what I love is this invitation to a party, right? An invitation to an experience. And I think more and more people are becoming more aware that our lives are not our own, and that money really isn't the end all be all. I think people are finally getting to this point where they're realizing that, well, what can my money buy me? Well, one thing is that it can buy me or offer me experiences. And what kind of experiences do I want to have before I go, right? During this trip. And so I think more people are starting to realize that the quality of their presence and their quality of how they experience and gift experiences to each other is so crucial. And so, like for an example, within a friendship, it's like we're continually gifting each other an experience to have a memory of each other, whether it's positive or negative, whatever. And so I love this shift from consume, buy, have to create, experience, and then gift, right? It's like this whole other, which I'm hoping that, you know, this set of songs and this beautiful magic and all that we have created and intended is a love letter to that. It's like enrich, you know, enrich and share. Let's go there together, which is one thing that I'm passionate about and it's kind of like a secret sauce, like reason why I really wanted, why I created Wishcraft, is that we have a lot of social situations in our culture to go out and to dance and do the sex and violence thing. But we don't have a lot of social invitations to go be vulnerable, to go share our hearts. And so we don't often think of being vulnerable in public. It's like you're not allowed to be who you are. You're not allowed to feel your real feels when you're out in the world. But I want to change that. I want to create an invitation where it's like, perhaps within the proper context, you can. And not that you need to, you know, like whatever. It's just an invitation so that you don't always have to be, again, with the shoulder thing, like holding yourself up tight and like marching through life with your mask and your script and your everything. It's like, what if we were to soften those layers and allow some of the vulnerability to be shared with each other? Oh, how would we be different? How would our lives be different? How would our children's lives be different if we just set down our armor? So I endeavor to kind of create more experiences of that. And this is definitely one of them, you know, pairing the sensorial experience with, because I mean, I want to hear also what you say, well, like what your thoughts on this is, like art as rich, or life as art and art as ritual, right? So when I put on my Phoenix, it's not just a thing that I'm doing, right? It's not just like la la la, whatever.
No.
There's a presence, right? There's like there's a livingness with it. Talk about that. Yeah.
Well, okay. So my gateway to aromatherapy started when I was 15. I was in the Philippines. I was in a family bus. We were headed toward a beautiful location with my whole entire family, and it was like multi-generational. And my Lola, which means grandmother in Tagalog, was a buoyant, flavorful, vibrant being, and she was starting to stir and feel unsettled in a big way where the whole car could feel it. But the matriarch of my family was so wise, and she was already a matriarch like before my Lola had passed. Like, she was the matriarch. Everyone like knew to follow her lead, and what she did, I was watching her because I was young, still young. 15 was young, and so I didn't have a seat. I was sitting like in the ground well, looking up. Probably I had a seat, but it's squished, and you're next to people in it. And I was like, I'm gonna sit in this, and I'm watching. I'm looking up at her, and she wasn't a big woman. She was 5 foot, but her presence was big. And I was just watching her reach into her purse. She was calm. She was like tracking everything. She reaches into her purse and she gets a little tiny vial of lavender essential oil, and she spritzes it into the air vent. And within under a minute, immediately, not only was everyone else calm, but so was my Lola. Like, that stirred moment of intensity that she was feeling agitated quelled. And I thought, holy cow. This is a miracle happening right before my very eyes. Like, and that's when I began my path of learning about the limbic system and learning about the power of essential oils or just fragrance and how it either A, can bring you to a memory, or B, take a moment and shift it. And so there's this invisible field. It's our auric field. It's our toroidal force of our sphere of chakra points or points of energy or lines on our own personal meridian all the way down our being. And different points are going to stagnate or vibrate, but they're in relation to the field that is around your whole entire being. An aroma will not only shift your mood and attitude, but will coalesce in your auric field. And I was always sensitive, so sensitive. And once I realized aromatherapy not only could calm me down, but could calm everyone else down at the same time, I started to play with the auric field that I existed in for my own self and everyone else who came in or came near my auric field. And so it became what I call the ritual routine. Like, a part of my glamour magic was to fragrance myself in such a way that I was carrying around a living invitation to a spell that I was working within myself that was already humming at my toroidal field consciously, because I've scripted it, and then anybody who comes into my field gets my script. And so, yeah, I'm the main attraction. I'm holding the spell. And I'm inviting everyone to resound in this resonance. And it's layered. So every spell, including Phoenix, has not only the scent, but the essences of other things to evoke and strengthen that spell. That then people who are around me, even if they didn't hear the song, get an invitation. Like at the beginning of our talk, who just hug me or just exist in my, they're like, what is that? Because they themselves are experiencing what a Phoenix can do for them. And they're invited to crack open and birth in who they really are. Like, just shed off a mask. Like, who are you really beyond that? Who are you underneath the thing that you graduated from, that you are aware of now? And yes, the limbic system, and yes, creating memory, and yes, the hypnosis. But like, I just want to invite the awareness that we have such a huge presence, and we are microcosms of ourselves in the complex experience of our being as a macrocosm of our universe or a multiverse. So we are a walking multiverse. And every cell of our cells are humming a toroidal force. And then you just consciously create the rhythm, and you can exist as a giant humming toroidal force. And your sphere, my sphere, I can bring my sphere really huge. And I don't have to speak. I just exist as the resonance that I'm holding with awareness.
Yes.
And it's evocative.
Oh, yeah. It permeates.
It really does. And I've been playing that game for a while now. Like, what is that, 3 decades?
Yeah.
3 decades of playing that game.
You're beyond mastery of it. It's phenomenal. Just imagining I'm smelling your hair right now.
It's like some version of the Phoenix you've put on. Because I've been playing with that.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just
like, it's such a wonderful scent, and it's so different on other people because because it's no synthetics. It's absolutely all natural. Everything is organic. It's so ethically sourced. Because that's important. And not only is it ethically sourced, it's a glass bottle, it's a metal lid, it's a carnelian ball, and that in itself has its own spell. It's like, your body is a safe place to exist and resound in. Roll it all over.
Ugh, all over, baby. I love it. I love it so much for so many reasons. One thing that comes through is like, Yeah, because people often ask me, and I just see it in the world, like people are like, what can I do? I want peace on earth. I want to, empower people to be sovereign. I want to be able, I want to contribute, but I'm only me, right? And I have to work this job, or I have to do this thing, or I'm only a mom, or I'm only whatever. And it's like, I've never believed that our top side lives are the full story.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
what you're saying really speaks to me about what I would call like the metaphysical background. It's like I can't, with my physical eyes at this point in my incarnation, see your aura, but I can feel your resonance. So I feel like we're finally at the point where people are starting to open their eyes to this awareness of this auric field, but also the metaphysical background of the world and morphogenetic resonance. And so there's these aspects that people are starting to kind of come online around. And again, it's like, well, what can I do? And you're speaking exactly to that, but something so basic and so simple and so tangible as a flower essence, right? As lavender, as phoenix, as, right? And so I feel like people think of it as this big scientific hurdle, like they've got to learn something or, whatever. And it's really just, it's embodied within Gaia. It is here, it is now, it is us.
Yeah, I think people have to vanquish the hallucination that we've been fed through the consumer narrative, which is you're not enough.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are Earth. All of what is on Earth is Earth. We are Earth. You are Earth. Everyone's Earth.
We're definitely Gaia.
And if you just gain that, you just contemplate that. Just contemplate that, and then check in with your own personal.
I said, as long as you need to, just contemplate that. Just
yeah, because you descending your consciousness down in to contemplate that you are Earth is already evocative, right? And it's subtle. And what we're offering is like tools to support that action, to invite the awareness of playing or the ritual routine of grounding down into your being and existing as a walking remedy. Yeah. Because then you are holding a resonance of your own personal cure, whatever that is.
Yeah, a living divination of knowing yourself. That's what
being on the journey, because it's a constant.
Yeah.
It's constant discovery. It's the best relationship we have on Earth.
It's amazing. I'm reading The Cosmic Hologram by Jude Curvin. I'm like having this intense, passionate love affair with this cosmologist. She's this elder British woman, and I'm listening to it on Audible, and she's like my fairy godmother of like, physics and cosmology. And I'm really starting to understand a little bit more about the cosmic hologram and what does that mean, and from her whole lineage, all this stuff. But this quote goes exactly with what you just said, which is from a physicist. He says, to live is to change, and to be perfect is to change often. I was like, yeah, I dig that. It's change often. Because we're always learning. There's always new information. We're like, oh, I didn't know that before. Okay,
change is the one constant.
So good. So good. Amazing.